I'm News 5's Emily DeVoe. Right now we're at police headquarters and you are looking at all of the materials Mobile Police seized today at a drug raid on 10 different gas stations that were allegedly selling materials that are linked to smoking crack cocaine or other drugs. You can see they confiscated all of the cash at these gas stations. There's District Attorney Ashley Rich. He's going to be getting ready to speak soon. So right now, before this press conference gets started, I'm just going to go down the table and show you some of these materials.
You lower that? What's his name? Can you lower your mic?
What are those?
They're roses. They're used for crack hiding.
Linda Edmonds, I see you're asking where. So right now I'm at Mobile Police headquarters, but this was a raid on 10 different gas stations all over the city of Mobile. I think the furthest west one was on Cody Road. We actually have a complete list of all those locations on our website. So right now you're looking at the materials that Mobile Police confiscated from 10 different gas stations. These are all materials linked to drug activity, to smoking crack cocaine or other drugs, and we're getting ready for a press conference. It'll start in just a few minutes. Sorry, Tricia says paraphernalia is only when there's residue. I guess materials would be the correct word here. These are materials that can be linked to drug activity.
Good operation. Jacked up flea market food here, right? Like a really jacked up flea market food. Yeah, okay. Like something out of high time or something. Yeah, no doubt.
Emily, did you get some kudos for the school? Sorry.
Oh, you can. Oh, well, you can start whenever. We're just killing time. Let's see here. I'm trying to look at some of your comments. Elizabeth asked, why is it that they are just now doing this? This was part of a much longer investigation we are actually going to hear about very shortly. And there is so much stuff that it actually doesn't fit on the tables. Okay.
All right, how about your mics? You good? Check, check, check. Ready? All right, well, thank y'all for coming. What you are looking at here in the Joint Operations Center is the results of a 6-month investigation on commercial convenience stores that were involved in facilitating the sale of illegal drug paraphernalia, as well as in some cases what we suspect to be cannabis oil, which contains THC according to our field testing. We have, as you can see on the table, various types of pipes, bongs, and other types of material that are used to ingest or to smoke illegal substances. We have about $500,000 in cash assets that are under seizure right now, and that's pending a review by the District Attorney's Office as possible proceeds from illegal transactions. There are 15 people now in custody as I speak today. We also have 2 illegal immigrants that are in custody with the federal side through Border Patrol for possible deportation. There were 10 commercial search warrants that were executed today, 5 residential search warrants, and again, the results of those search warrants are what you were looking at. 6 guns were also seized, and we are open now for any questions that you may have about this particular raid.
I guess I didn't realize that it was illegal to sell some of these things. What makes the difference between a pipe that's seized and maybe like a tobacco pipe?
Yeah, you know, tobacco pipes, and certainly some of these can be used to smoke tobacco, but some of the pipes that you're going to see today are fashioned in a manner to smoke specifically crack cocaine or methamphetamine. And so when we see that type of paraphernalia, and these are not packaged retail type items, these are items that are kept behind the counter in what you sometimes will see over there in just little paper bags and then sold individually to people that are looking for it. What we also recovered were cannabis disguised as candy. This is gummy bears, which we suspect may contain THC from the cannabis oil. The oil is also being used in electronic cigarettes to smoke as well. And again, we are pending, although the field tests indicate THC, which is the illegal substance from cannabis, we're waiting for the Alabama Department of Forensic Science to verify that.
Can you talk about the cash? So it's $500,000 in cash, but how can you all be sure that that money is connected to the sale of all of the things you confiscated?
Right now, everything's been seized, and so what we are now in the process of trying to find out is how much of those proceeds came from illegal transactions, as well as involving the Alabama Department of Revenue in some of these transactions, which we know are illegal as far as retail sales. But actually, you want to add to that?
You know, what's happening is they go in to buy these this paraphernalia, and they accept cash payment. They pay in cash, and then that cash goes into the bank account. So this is proceeds of illegal paraphernalia that is going into the bank account. So if we can prove that those proceeds are going into these respective bank accounts, then we are able to seize those bank accounts, because this is money being made off of illegal paraphernalia. And so that's why we are able to freeze these assets, and then we'll argue in court that the vast majority of the money in these accounts is coming from illegal possession and sale of paraphernalia. And that's what every bit of this is on these tables, is paraphernalia. Drug paraphernalia, either for cocaine, methamphetamine, marijuana. You can see each one of these items has something to do with that.
Now, how did you pinpoint it down to these specifically 10 gas stations through your investigation? What led you all to them?
You know, it begins like many investigations with information received from the public about the illegal transactions, and then a 6-month investigation involving undercover officers to verify that this activity was indeed occurring, led to the probable cause for the issuance of 10 search warrants at 10 locations, and we'll give you those locations shortly.
I had a question about the guns. Kind of similar to the cash. I mean, what's the rationale for seizing a weapon? Is it illegally owned? Can you talk about that at all?
You know, and again, much of this is still under investigation, pending DFS results, but it is a federal crime to use drugs and have a firearm simultaneously. And so, you know, we're vetting that either through the U.S. Attorney's Office or District Attorney's Office to determine whether or not those gun violations have occurred in these specific gun carry incidents.
Can you talk about the charges? some of the specific charges some of these individuals might face?
Do we have a list of the charges? I don't have it broke down.
Possession of paraphernalia, which is these bongs, glass pipes, all of these things that we have collected. The majority of the things that we've collected on the tables are possession of paraphernalia is a misdemeanor. But that's not the real issue here. The real issue here is these were being sold in the open at various convenience stores, and it's illegal for them to sell. It's possession of paraphernalia, and it's illegal for them to sell it as well. And so this sends a clear message to all of the other convenience stores that were not necessarily encompassed in our controlled buys, that this needs to be removed from, these items need to be removed from your shelves immediately. This is not something that falls under the law in the state of Alabama. It is illegal to sell paraphernalia, drug paraphernalia. And if you look, especially the ones that are are put together in these little plastic, paper bags, okay, that is them putting together 2 or 3 items that are used to ingest methamphetamine or used to ingest known controlled substances, that you have to put those specific items together in like a goodie bag, and they are packaging these things up and selling them behind the counter. Those particular items weren't in plain view, but people knew that they could go to those particular convenience stores and purchase those items.
So, a few questions. I'm assuming that the people that are in custody are the owners of these gas stations?
We have I can't give you the breakdown, but these are specific individuals involved in the distribution of these illegal paraphernalia items.
Because I'm just curious that if you said 2 illegals, if they opened up one of these stores in the city of Mobile, but we can talk about that. Is crack cocaine an epidemic in Mobile? Is this a problem going on? Do you see?
You know, crack cocaine's been a problem in the United States since the 1980s, I would say. But it's been a diminishing problem we've seen in some areas as we've seen the arrival of new drugs. But it is an ongoing, continuing problem that has plagued some of our neighborhoods for decades.
Sure. And this is a lot of evidence here on the tables. I mean, is this the biggest bust that Mobile Police has had in the last 10 years?
No, I wouldn't call it the biggest bust. What you're looking at is a lot of paraphernalia. So what we expect is to make good stewards out of people that own retail businesses and convenience stores in our particular area. You can remember that we began a spice operation involving convenience stores at one point. We had a kratom operation last year, which is a drug used to mimic the opiates, and that was seized last year. We did have another individual found in possession of kratom even after that seizure from last year, which is a felony charge that person has been charged with, but most of the others are misdemeanor charges.
I have a quick clarification. Oh, go ahead.
Part of the reason why this is so important, this operation is so important, is if a convenience store owner made the argument, I didn't know this was drug paraphernalia, they certainly know it now. It's here before everyone. We have made these arrests. We have absolutely sent a very strong message that none of these items are allowed to be possessed or sold by convenience store owners.
And that's
They need to
the
get off
message.
the shelves.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you clarify on the arrest, is that 15 plus 2 additional illegal immigrants for a total of 17, or is it 15 total?
Well, you know, the immigration or the Border Patrol is going through its process as far as deportation. They were not charged criminally here within the state. And so I do not have any charges of those 2 individuals.
Okay, so it's 15 arrests plus the 2 additional illegal immigrants that are being taken care of by the federal side. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Can you talk about the male and females that were part of this investigation and put in the hard work? I mean, I'm sure they're pretty proud about this bust.
Yeah, and again, 6 months of work and an incredible amount of undercover operations that were used not only to get the probable cause to issue these 10 search warrants, but to also check for compliance with a lot of the other stores. And so the stores that were in compliance and were not involved in this type of activity were not searched, but they were checked by the undercover officers. And so that's why it's such a lengthy operation. I can tell you we were out again this morning checking stores before these search warrants were executed. And so incredible amount. The units involved, Mobile PD Narcotics Unit, the Intelligence Unit, the MAX-SIP Unit, or the Mobile County Street Enforcement Narcotics Team, as well as some of the uniformed services you've seen behind you as far as, and so quite a big effort, not only on the undercover part as far as how much time was put into it, but an incredible effort in executing all of these search warrants, which were done simultaneously this morning.
I have a clarification question. We're on Facebook Live right now, and some of our viewers are trying to say that it's only paraphernalia if there's residue on it. Can you give a definition of what drug paraphernalia actually means?
I don't think they went to law school. This is paraphernalia. It's just that simple. Any item that can be used to ingest an illegal substance is paraphernalia.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that up. And then one more thing, I was curious, what were some of the reactions from these owners when you went to their gas stations today? Were a lot of them surprised, or did they kind of know what they were doing was wrong?
Well, whether the owners were there or not, they were actually called to the scene. Again, 5 residential search warrants were executed just right after the initial search warrants. I think there was one of shock, of concern, certainly. There is a seizure of monies and accounts, as well as a lot of the inventory taken from the stores. We continue to vet the owner's involvement and knowledge of this type of activity as we go forward through the city process as far as business licenses and how they were operating. But there were several concerns that we found as we went into some of these stores that were beyond just paraphernalia, but operating illegally in a manner that they shouldn't have been.
Could you elaborate more on those? Or?
And again, we continue the investigation. This just executed today. The main part was to show you this type of activity and also the involvement of cannabis oil in candies as well as liquid form to be used to smoke in electronic cigarettes.
Another question then about the gummy bears, the candy. Would that particular owner, whatever store that came from, would they be facing elevated charges then, since that would maybe come back as a...
They can possibly be facing elevated charges once the tox report comes back. If there's THC in these items, then that would be distribution and possession of a controlled substance, and so there could be additional felony charges that arise once the substances are tested.
Were the kratom seizures? I mean, that would be distribution charges as well, right?
If there are controlled substances in the Alabama schedule of controlled substances, once we test those items.
Second, to me, I'm just curious about the time, and I know it takes time to build this kind of an operation, but I feel like a lot of people would be aware, like, you can go to some gas stations, they sell stuff like this. I mean, is this something you guys have had your eye on for a long time? I mean, I guess why now would be my initial question.
Well, and a lot of this stuff I think have already brought up that people use it to sell, like to use with tobacco. Some of it is manufactured in a way that you can use with tobacco. What the undercover operation showed is that much of what we were seizing in the businesses that we searched were actually selling items that were specifically used not to smoke marijuana, not to smoke tobacco, but rather to smoke like crack cocaine or methamphetamines. And so it's very difficult for them to explain why they're doing it from a behind-the-counter operation. In other words, they were not on display. You had to use certain code words in order to access this stuff. And then it was sold individually or individually packaged by somebody other than a retailer.
I'm also curious, the charges that they'll be faced, is it a per item charge? Like they'll get charged for each item, or just kind of like a bulk charge with paraphernalia?
They like every item wasn't charged like it's specific.
Okay.
Yeah, they were charged with a misdemeanor, and so the big thing was to bring the criminal charges to send a message that using a business to facilitate illegal drug transactions or illegal transactions of drug paraphernalia was not going to be tolerated.
All right.
Do you have a breakdown of the arrest, how many were store owners versus employees, and is there anyone you guys are still looking for?
You know what? We do not have that breakdown. There is a mixture, but most of the people that were arrested today were involved in the actual sale to the undercover officers. And so we can tell you that. We can tell you that more arrests are pending right now, depending on the investigation and also the identification of individuals as far as their knowledge in the distribution of illegal drug paraphernalia.
Will those stores be shut down at this point? Will they be
And again, we continue the investigation to determine the owner-operator's involvement and knowledge in this type of activity. And so that will be a decision that as we go forward, but not just the paraphernalia, but other illegal operations of the business in the history of the business that we will have to vet before we make a determination whether we will proceed with a complaint through City Council to remove the business license.
And Chief, you're transitioning in a new role in the city. How's that going? And then Chief Batiste, are you going to continue to crack down on these stores once you're leading this department?
It's a compound question. I guess I'll answer my part first. The transition is going very smoothly, I'll tell you that. It happened very quickly, I think, publicly and also internally with all of us. And so trying to make sure that we're, handing off and transitioning in a very orderly way is moving right along. And then I'll flip the second part of your question to Chief Batiste.
Yes, we will continue to seek out operations that will allow us to go after those individuals that are making an effort to facilitate the drug trade in Mobile. So that's what this was really all about, is we were going at those individuals that as we try to get a handle on drug activity in our community, we want to make sure we're also addressing those individuals that were facilitating the drug activity that occurs in our community. So we'll continue these type of operations to make sure that our community is rendered safe.
Are you excited about your new role?
It's a blessing, and I'm truly excited. I really am. Like I said earlier that I've inherited a very good department, so there's not a whole lot I have to do. Is just grab hold to the steering wheel and let the car drive itself.
Can you talk about any aspects of, as far as like kind of maybe tracing some of this money back to the illegal immigrants to find that any of the money was, you know, sent overseas, possibly with any, you know, larger groups or organizations, anything like that?
Yeah, let me tell you that there is an investigation as far as tracing the money, not only this money, but where these items are coming from, where they're accessing these items, but also a lot of the review has to do with monies that were given to these stores during the undercover operations to purchase these items and where that money was contained. Some money was received from the cash tills, from the safes, some was taken from the residences, some are also had already been deposited. So all of those, the investigation of the money and how that money is mixed in with the drug transactions, again, part of the district attorney and Mobile PD's investigation. All right, anything else?
Can you talk a little bit about, you know, kind of just how scary it is that some of these products were disguised as candy, and you know, a child could easily have gotten hold of some of these, you know, gummy bears or things like that.
Yeah, let me make a point though, and some of this is disguised as candy, but whereas you would pay $1 or $1.50 for a pack of gummy bears, you'll pay $15 for the gummy bears laced with cannabis. And so it's not like we're explaining that somebody's going to accidentally pull gummy bears with THC off the shelf. You'll have to specifically ask for the ones that are tainted with cannabis.
Right. But that's not to say that, you know, someone takes it home and their child, you know, gets a hold of mom and dad's special stash, right?
Oh, absolutely. We see that child endangerment statute used time and again because of the illegal drug transactions or illegal drugs being used in households, yes. All right, that it? All right, thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
That's like when you go in there. Yeah. You already have money. Go ahead and back up.
So look at the package of 100,000 right here.
You might have said this already. How much cash total did you guys
There's
get?
over $500,000 in cash assets that have been seized or frozen by us today, and we'll be vetting through that. You know, all we did was we got a hold on it. We're trying to figure out how much of this is actually our money that's mixed into it.
Okay.
You know, and how much of the retail was involving the illegal side.
Okay. Can you maybe walk me through some of the, I guess, outrageous things that you got, or I guess surprising?
This is what really, you know, prompted some of the investigations. When you go into a store and you pick up a package like this, and inside it there's a pipe and there's the mesh inside it. Those are the things that let you know clearly it's used. It's used for the facilitation of the drug activity.
Okay. Now, how much? And they were being sold like this.
Like that.
Okay. And how much were those being sold?
So these are the things that really drew our attention to, you know, what was going on in the businesses. So we wanted to make sure that we had an operation that would address how do we address dealing with someone that's facilitating the illegal drug trade in our community.
Right. And were these being sold behind the counter?
These were all sold behind the counter, and you would have to go in and give a code word, and of course they would give you the bag when you walked out. They didn't have to make it up for you. They were already pre-packaged bags. So these are things that we wanted to make sure we address that. And as a result of seeing this, even though you see those things and say, well, you see those all the time, they are used to facilitate, you know, people that use drugs, but they don't normally blatantly set them up so that, you know, you can know right off the bat that they're being used for drug activities.
Mm-hmm. Were these little bags and the gummy bears being sold at the same store? Can we get into that?
At different, wherever you see these things kind of like broken out based off where they were seized from.
Okay.
And so as you walk around, you'll see a set like that set was seized from one particular store. this set here may be seized from another particular store. So we try to leave things packaged, as wherever we seize them from, we try to allow them to be displayed where they were seized from.
Together. Okay. All right. Thank you. I might come back when we have our camera and get you to do that. But sorry, this is Facebook.
Looks like a flashlight. It's an electric grinder. They put the weed in there, put the batteries in there, put the weed in there, push the button. How many systems do you have on? Yeah,
Yeah, because I've seen these everywhere. I mean, I knew what people did, but I just
Grinders.
Just little raw.
Yeah, grinders. Do you have your crack pipe listed too? Do you know how you smoke it?
No, I'm not clue.
Look. So you
This
take
is a
it,
pin, right?
so you clear it, you need to get that out, and then some of them they've already done this, and that's what I was telling him. They've already taken and they've already stripped this down where you don't need all this, and so all you need is a small portion of it. The thing is that one over there, they've already stripped it down, so you pack that in over here, leave about that much room to put the cracked rock, and so this prevents you from ingesting the rock. And then
all it says is like
black right here, so you can put it around the pipe, so it gets real hot.
All of these kind of like in a cluster together. Is that what they were doing?
Well, they had it either separated, or sometimes they had already pre-packaged it where you see over there
I saw those,
in those
yeah.
brown paper bags. And that's where they've already stripped down this into a smaller amount. This is not illegal, this is not illegal. But I was telling him the totality of the circumstances is what makes it illegal, that you're packaging it together, that it's behind the counter, that you use a code word to get it, that's a cash transaction, it's not taxed. And so when you start looking at all that, now does that make a reasonable person go, okay, I get it now?
Gotcha.
Because you can go to any gas station right now in Mobile or Baldwin County, and you'll see some elements around. And so, just having Brillo pads and just having this other stuff is not illegal, but when you package together and the intent is to sell it as a mechanism to smoke or ingest illegal narcotics, and then that's what becomes illegal.
Gotcha. And what is that?
Cannabis oil.
Okay, so, and we're still waiting on the toxicology to come back.
It's packaged to say that it's in there. You don't know what's in there.
So it actually says
Yeah.
THC?
Well, it doesn't say THC, it says cannabis oil. This cannabis oil is going to have THC.
Oh, the
residue.
CBD stands for okay.
And so it's going to have
Probably doesn't even have ingredients listed on it.
gummy
Yeah,
bears.
got-
Dude. Gummy bears tell you how many grams of sugar and everything that you're getting. But
Like one hit wonder there.
Okay.
so now you know how to smoke crack.
So many things I've never seen before. All right, Facebook, News 5's Emily DeVoe here. I'm going to sign off so I can work on this, putting it together for you at 5 and 6 o'clock. We do have an article up on our website right now with the locations of these gas stations and a little more information about the sting conducted today. And we'll have a story tonight on our newscast. Thanks. Bye.